very good morning and welcome to K24 this morning. My name is Mungala Mbuvi. It's time for us to discuss your finances, and today we focus on taxes. Now, I'm joined by three individuals who are going to help us drive that conversation, starting with one, Patrick Omeo. He's a financial literacy advocate. Karibu tena sana.
Thank you.
We also have Judith Njagi, the Chief Manager, Tax-Based Expansion, Domestic Tax Department. Quite a title. Even ndivyo mlango wako imeandikwa kwa ofisi. An interesting one. Karibu tena sana. Then we have Ben Omol, who is an entrepreneur. Nowadays, entrepreneurship is basically a very large, we can define it in so many ways, but what line of entrepreneurship are you in?
Well, I just want to term myself as a leader in the marketing field.
Okay.
So I run an agency, a marketing agency, and we help provide exciting business solutions to a lot of businesses.
Okay. Business solutions.
Yeah, marketing business solutions.
Okay,
yes.
Sawa. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. Let me start with the lady. Wanasemanga ladies first. Taxation.
Yes.
We don't like being taxed. That's for sure. But taxation is basically necessary. So for people out there who are in, first of all, what are the basic levels of domestic taxation, which is basically the department that you handle? What are the levels involved in taxation?
Yeah, we have various taxations.
Yes.
Or other tax types.
All right.
And starting with the most obvious, the income tax, which is for corporates.
Yes.
And also individuals in business.
All right.
So anytime a person, and a person here means a corporate or an individual, gets a PIN, that tax, it's automatic.
Yes.
We call it default tax. So if it's a limited company, you get the corporate tax.
All right.
If it is an individual, you get the individual income tax. We call them obligations.
Okay.
Yeah, so any person who has a PIN should either have corporate
yes.
or the individual.
Okay.
We also now have other taxes that come by depending on the type of business. And for example, the VAT, that is if this corporate or the individual is doing business that attracts VAT
okay.
and are making a 5 million and above turnover or sales on what we consider VATable. So those ones should have the VAT.
Okay.
We have another tax, and that is now for employee, those people who are earning employment income.
Like myself now?
Yes. Your employer should deduct the pay
okay.
from what they give you. And I think that is one thing that shows us everybody else should pay, because all those who are in employment, their tax is deducted, whether they like it or not.
Right.
They pay the taxes. And that's why we say those in businesses should also have a way of paying their taxes, so that they are there is equality. Yeah. That's how the installment taxes was introduced for corporates and individuals in business.
Installment?
Yes.
Okay.
So that when the employed, are paying on monthly basis through the deduction, the corporates and the business, individual businesses
right.
also pay installments on quarterly basis. That brings some equality.
Okay.
Yeah, we also have a tax for the small businesses, the entrepreneurs we are talking about. One may not be so big enough. It could be a corporate or even an individual, but mostly this is for the individuals.
Yes.
There is the turnover tax, which is being reintroduced from 1st January 2020.
Really?
Yes,
okay.
we had put it off and introduced what we call presumptive. But now turnover tax is coming back, and this is for small business people. Corporates are out
when you say small business people, we're talking about let's go to the ground level, kabisa. The kawaida cobbler in the streets,
yes.
The mama mboga,
yeah.
The person who has a kiosk anauza tu peremende.
Okay, small has meanings because even the way the definition of SMEs,
right.
or even the micro, somehow you find that it is leveled or tired.
Okay.
So for us, we are yet to get there,
okay.
such that we are able to reach to the lowest. But we say from 5 million
and
to
above.
Zero.
Oh, 5 million to zero shillings.
Yes. There is, before we go to zero,
yes.
There is 5 million below to 500,000 and above. Those should pay turnover tax come January 2020. Then the same level, 5 million below to zero should pay presumptive tax.
Okay.
That came on board from January 2019, and it is 15% of the license. So this is for those people whose business is licensed by the county councils.
Yes.
So you give the government, you pay the council the license fee, but 15% of that license fee is the KRA tax.
Okay.
And it is like final tax for those who are 500,000
Yes.
and below. So that covers the small business person.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I'll still revisit that one for small business persons because,
Yes.
again, like you've said, small businesses can be defined in very many ways. For
Yeah.
example, Ben, do you consider your business a small business, ama kawaida medium business, ama yako ni
No,
corporate?
but we've not reached corporate. That's the goal eventually. But our business, I think, is probably what you'd call tier 2 or something like that. So it's on the upward trend, growing about medium. Yeah.
Okay.
We've not done your record-breaking revenues and turnovers yet.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Patrick, in terms of the taxations that she's talking about, every single day we hear of different taxes being introduced. At one point, people were fighting over the housing levy tax or something of the sort. It seems like, we have a lot of taxes. Do you think that Kenya, the kawaida Kenyan mwananchi is overtaxed?
I would not say that the mwananchi is overtaxed. I would say the tax is too biased at the moment towards the person who is easy to find.
All right.
What we typically call the tax base is not as large as it should.
All right.
Not because the people to pay tax are not there, but KRA has not done its framing well. Today, if you do a business, like Madam has said,
Right.
that say earns you annual turnover of between something and 5 million,
Yes.
and you are properly registered,
Right.
you pay tax. Someone else is making 20 million in Gikomba, is not paying taxes. The question of informality does not mean lack of taxes.
Right.
There are millionaires sitting in Kibra.
Very true.
So to say that Kenyans is overtaxed is not to say it for all Kenyans. A very small section of Kenyans are paying too much tax. The people who actually use the services don't pay taxes. So what needs to change is the framing, like the introduction of turnover tax, if properly implemented, would mean that literally every business that has a license should pay some tax. But then the question then is, how many businesses are properly licensed in the city, for example?
Right.
How many businesses should be licensed that are not licensed? So there are a lot of other loopholes that are making it very difficult for KRA to get as many people to pay taxes. Because if 1 million people paid 15% of their license, we would get more money than 500,000 people paying all the taxes for the 1 million.
For everyone.
So that's really what it should be. So correctly said, yes, a few of us are paying too much for many others who are walking around. And that is not right.
All right, Ben,
Yeah.
is that, in your opinion, is that the reality on the ground?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, if you look at look at the last stats, or some of the stats that we've gathered, I think you've got like payee, you've got probably just about shy of about 4 million or 5 million people who are paying tax
Right.
in a country of almost 50 million people. That's 10% of the entire population paying tax. And then and I know one of the goals for KRA basically is to increase that to almost 10 million. So that means there's a huge potential out there. And I don't think it's just 10 million. It could even just inch about a bit higher than that. But even in terms of personal tax and a lot of things, I think one of the biggest challenges that a lot of businesses face is understanding the tax bracket that you're supposed to be in, or understanding the type of tax that you need to be able to pay, and then also being able to understand why some of these taxes are there. I, for one, have a big problem with the housing one,
Yes.
and I think it has been talked about largely in the society about If you own a house, why again am I paying again another 1.5%
Yeah.
in housing? What is going to happen to that? And then the way it is also being done, it looks like it's a lottery. So you wonder, is the government in the business of creating an environment for business
Yeah.
to thrive, or are they in the lottery business?
Right.
So those are very complicated things that really need to be
Addressed.
to be addressed and aligned.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Judith, what he said about, and actually what he has also seconded, the fact that a population of almost 50 million,
Yeah.
but the number of people paying taxes are literally a drop in the ocean. Is that overburdening us?
Well, I would agree, yes, because one thing, as you said, from a long time, even in the Bible, no one wants to pay their taxes. And it's like it's a real chase
Yeah.
that KRI has to do. And I think agreeing on that, it's actually a national thing. It's not just left to KRI. For example, coming up with the policies all the way from Treasury down, because KRI is an implementer. If we are able to bring policies that will be able to get down to the lowest of the person, then that would bring a level playing ground for everyone.
Okay.
For example, we are now using what we call third-party data, where we are engaging the counties. Because some of these taxpayers we are calling small, they're in business with the counties wherever they are.
Right.
Others are supplying mega business but are still under. Others are importing
By
goods.
under, you mean they're not registered?
Other means they could be even having a PIN, but they are not paying.
Okay.
Yeah, but again, they may think KRI can't get
Find
us.
them, yeah.
But now we are using what we call third-party data. We are able to get the suppliers to the government through the county council engagements. And we are even going to see who supplies to the private companies. We are going to, let's say, NTSA.
Yes.
We want to see who are the owners of these
Vehicles.
big vehicles and how many freight of cars. Like you, in the matatu, the transport industry, you may realize that the owners of the matatus don't pay the taxes. So we go and get information. So we come to you from a point of knowledge. And we'll be telling you, you have this number of vehicles, but we can see you have
You
not
only
been
pay for one, or you
you've
don't pay
or
at all.
of even nothing.
Wow.
Yeah, we are also going to the Kenya Power. Maybe many of us have received letters from us asking you to pay the rental income tax on residential and commercials. We are going to the Ministry of Lands. We want to see who owns what property and what development is on that property, so that we try to get as many through the third party coming in to pay, so that even the tax burden can go
reduce.
down. Because if we get a bigger number paying, even the rates could go down.
Because
Yeah.
probably the reason why people are not even registering to pay for their taxes is because they do not feel as though these taxes are legitimately being, taken from them. And also has this idea, for instance, we pay taxes and we expect to have good roads, but we spend lots of money repairing our vehicles, buying new tires and, fixing whatever it is that we need to fix in that car. We pay taxes and we expect better health care. Yet we still have to pay premium amounts to go to, India to get treated, because probably here in Nairobi or in Kenya in general, we do not get the healthcare we need. So probably that's one of the reasons why, and probably, Mr. Patrick, you can correct me if I'm wrong, probably people are reluctant because I still need that money. Instead of giving it to the government, I need that money to fix my car. What do you think?
Partly maybe, I would say partly maybe. Of course, there are other motivations. But I think the main contribution has been the inability to get people in the bracket. Whatever means KRA would use to bring you on the bracket would lower the number. I mean, the moment you can fill up this ball quickly, you don't need to ask me to give you 30. Because right now you're being asked to pay
30%.
percentages that are outside what I would call right levels, because there are only very few people who are paying taxes. And it's very painful. It is painful. I've seen my business go up and down in approximately 36 months when I've had health issues. And you can tell that, look, I've never had a problem paying my taxes. Suddenly you have it. But you see now, that is not something that is happening across. Most of the business in this city And this city is the hub of the business, is informal. You're talking about perhaps 70, 80% of what drives Nairobi is informal. Informal means that you might not find this guy in a shop.
Right.
So that you can know where to go look for him, like the council might find him. I had a bit of stint in Gikomba when I was younger.
Right.
The amount of monies people handle in those informal places, my brother, is huge.
They're insane.
A guy doing lorries of mitumba is not paying taxes. Not one lorry, lorries. So that's the challenge. Whether someone feels like the taxes are not being used properly, that's another thing altogether. That's a third party not using the money properly.
Right.
But the issue for me is about if more of us were paying taxes, if you're paying only 10,000,
Yeah.
you would reduce the demand on me for 1 million. Because if 1,000 of those new people are paying 10,000, the amount of money they bring in reduce the demand on others. Today is 5% of, 5 million of 50 million paying taxes. As long as that's the case, you'll always have taxes going up and the crazy ones coming on board. Like the one you mentioned for housing. For me, from where I sit, it is the tax we needed 10 years ago. The question of whether you have a house or not is irrelevant.
Okay.
What this country needs is a deep pool of low-cost funds. You can't ask banks to lower interest rates when no one is saving voluntarily. Kenyans don't save more than 5.7% of their income, and we need to be saving 40%. So the question of someone has built a house is even better.
Yeah.
He deserves to help those who have not by paying taxes. and the tax is about, I pay 10,
Yes.
you pay 1. Because I can pay 10,
Yes.
I pay 10.
Okay.
Because you can pay 1, you pay 1. That's how taxes work. So the
Okay.
question of, I have bought a house, I built my house, that is neither here nor there. We need a deep fund so that it is the cost of funds in this economy
Right.
can go down. The government failed to do this 20 years ago.
Yeah.
They are doing it late and they are doing it badly.
Okay.
So that people are seeing the negatives rather than seeing what they should see.
Ben, I do not know if you feel this way, because I'm also a businessman of sorts, and I would feel bad about like what Patrick said, that there's someone in Gikomba with lorries. He's not paying a single coin to the taxman, and he or she is making 10 million, 30 million a year. Yet Mimi, niko hapa registered, I have a PIN number, I'm not making 30 million, but I'm still giving the most to the government. Does it, as a businessman, do you feel like any...
No, on taxes, I believe that you need to pay your taxes. There's a guy called Jim Rohn who said you have to feed the golden goose. And the golden goose here is the government. The guy in Gikomba is not paying his taxes, but yet he's using the resources within that the government has provided to be able to make that money.
All right.
And yet guys are saying that, oh, I don't want to pay tax because of bad roads. But still, you're using that bad roads to make 20 million. You get. So I believe that you need to be able to feed the golden goose, to keep on giving.
Right.
I think just the way that it is handled, probably, like we can never really blame KRA on a lot of things in terms of policy and all that, because they're just the implementers.
They're just collecting.
Yeah, they're just collecting. They're meant to collect what us as the society, we've elected leaders to go and decide on what they need to be collected on. And as a result of that, we can't really overlay the blame on them. What we need to be able to push is for a lot of policy changes and policy issues that will be able to address our issues. If we've got a problem with the roads, the problem is not with the KRA.
Yeah.
The problem is somewhere else.
With your MP.
And we need to be able to address that. If we've got a problem with health, the problem is somewhere else. And that's why we need to really look at. We need to be able to really focus our efforts where they're deserved.
Right.
And not keep on batting keep on knocking up the wrong tree.
Right.
Yeah.
Judith, now over to you in terms of that confidence that Kenyans may not necessarily have, because every time we see a message from KRA, we're like, sasa hawa watu wanataka nini na mimi. Money is just being taken. Do you feel like the confidence on our side as the taxpayer has literally gone down? And that is why maybe we are not all of us knocking at KRA to register and get that PIN number that we so dearly need?
I think it depends on an individual. I would say taxation is an issue of the heart. There are those who have said, won't pay, can't pay, and it's like, do what you want. And I think that is why you've seen KRA going to levels of even prosecuting, which should not be happening. So it's like we are saying, this is the law. We tried our best to make sure that Mwananchi understands these various taxes and you know where you plug in and you pay. And I like what he said when he said pay your shilling if it's a shilling, because it's that level.
Yeah.
The rest, the other one pay whatever it is.
10 shillings.
10 shillings, because that is how the taxation is. It's tired, depending on your income. So I think it's an issue of being proactive. I would say the loans we go begging, that is another person's tax.
Yes.
They run to pay because they have decided they must pay and build their nation. And we run there and borrow when we still have enough money here in our nation that can develop our nation, and maybe we become the people who give others. So I think people need to have a shift and change of mind so that we support our nation. Yes, there are a few maybe who get this money and use it for the wrong cause, but I think we can see the direction our president is taking on such cases. So I think the Mwananchi should let the government, the president and his people do
Their job.
what they should do with the people who are corrupt and who are using the taxes in the wrong way.
Mismanagement.
And we pay the tax so that we can see the development. I'm sure by now, even though there is a category that can't use the hospitals that we have, the school that we have, it's by choice. But because the level is not yet there. But I believe if we all put in, our schools, our hospitals, and every other system would be to that level where everybody would want to be using that particular facility.
Okay.
So I'm thinking people just need to come out and pay their taxes, and not a single high, not a single cent low. We
Okay.
just pay what is due,
All
and we
right.
build our nation.
Patrick, do you think what she said, we actually do have enough money within our own systems here in terms of the income that we are all making, including that guy in Kibera who's making millions? If we were to tax it correctly, we wouldn't need to go for the Eurobonds and the Chinese money.
What is this?
It's a vase.
This vase represents how Kenya taxation is. It's the few at the top who are paying the taxes. The
bulk of us to go
the
up
bottom where the taxes really is. Kenya is an informal business community. Any city, any town, Nairobi itself, there are more small businesses than there are what you'd call medium-sized enterprises. In fact, you can count the medium-sized enterprises.
Right.
I'm a banker by background and a lender. And we have, in the banking systems, the businesses are clearly tiered. And if you look at the accounts that are at the top, and the accounts that are in the middle, and the accounts that are at the bottom, Kenya is at the bottom. It's not in the middle, it's not at the top. The truth is, and the fact is, that KRA is taxing the top. The frame has been discussed for the longest time I've been alive about expanding the tax base. I think 4 or 5 years ago, the effort to get landlords on board came in.
Right.
Typically, people who own property in Nairobi that don't have a title don't pay taxes.
Yes.
There are and there's more land in Nairobi that is on, what do you call this piece of paper you are given, awaiting for allocation? That allocation letter, allotment letter. More of the estates in Nairobi that you call recent,
Yes.
the emerging estates like Tena, those are part of flats kind of estates.
Right.
They are not allotment letters. So that fellow owns a block, doesn't pay a cent. He's got 100 people living upstairs using this road, messing up the sewage and what have you. I mean, this is what we call being dishonest.
Okay.
The dishonesty is that huge. So we do have enough tax base to reduce the burden on the 5% who are paying taxes.
All right.
What has been missing is on the side of KRA in terms of getting the people to pay.
Okay.
Whatever you do, I don't care, but getting them to pay is missing.
We take a short break right now, but when we return, we continue the conversation, and I want to throw this one to you in terms of answering. Are you a proud taxpayer? Do you pay taxes? Tuanzie hapo. Ama wewe ni one of those biasharas hiding under 30 million pale Gikomba? Kindly let us know through our social media pages at K24 TV. You can also text us on 21222. The numbers on your screen, kindly call and let us have that conversation.